the Sim Racing Collective concludes its 6-week showdown around the world with a mighty event. Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to JP Broadcasting and back for one final time for the TSRC GT3 PC Championship here on Assetto Corsa Competizione. We take to the colossal mountain that is Mount Panorama, home of Bathurst, one of the world's most highly regarded circuits. It has everything. Do you want heavy braking zones? It's got them. You want long straights? It's got them. Do you want zero margin for error as you battle your way up and down the hill? Guess what? Funnily enough, it's got that too. It's truly an extraordinary circuit for what is truly an extraordinary Season 3. And what a way to round it off. My name, of course, is Zach Sweeney. Kelsey Gill is alongside me once more in the commentary booth. And, well, this is it.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Good evening, Zach. Yeah, this is it. This is the finale. This is the time where all of the drivers need to make sure that they're maximising all of their performance out on the circuit and getting the most out of their drives. And I'm taking a little look at the championship standings right now, Zach, and the two main battles that I think we're going to be focusing on tonight are the top of the standings in the pros between Sir Smoggy and Sam Fleety, and if we go down toward the AMs as well, we've got a 1-point gap between Elias Troyer and Davide Massi here as well, and I think we're going to have quite the race this evening, and we've got an incredible venue to host it.
For sure. So, of course, as Kelsey was saying, in the Pro Championship, Sir Smoggy, who, well, has been on fire really over the course of the entire season. His lowest score is a 5th place, which he got twice. The first round, of course, and then the first race of round number 4 when we took to Silverstone. Apart from that, it's been first, second, and second. That sits him on a total of 99 points. Only 3 ahead of Sam Fleety, who has taken 2 victories and an extra podium beyond that. His lowest score is the one he didn't attend to for round number 3. Dominic Ligner is a bit of an outside shot, 84.5 points for him. Jack Southfield mathematically in with a chance of winning, however incredibly unlikely, sat there on 69 points. We'll jump over to the silvers where, well, it does look a little bit more wrapped up, but don't count anything out just yet. Luca Raya for BMW sits on 97.5 points, just 10 ahead of Mark Peters, who himself is about 10.5 ahead of James Wright. So again, as I say, everyone inside the top 3, and in fact, actually, to be fair, everyone inside the top 5 technically could win, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. It's really the main fight is between Luca Raya and Mark Peters. James Wright and Gurley Conchabo are sort of outside shots, and then of course, as Kelsey said, the AMs incredibly close, and that is where really the main fight will be, is between our top 2, Elias Troyer and Davide Massi. 103 for Troyer, 102 for Davide Massi. They have been on fire in terms of their AM championships. And for those of you, of course, who are new to the TSRC, we'll take a quick rundown as to how the point system works in all, because there are so many different championships in sim racing. All of them have their own different point systems, and all of them confuse me. So we'll run it through. Thankfully, they're not Australian point systems. I know Biggles is doing the highlights and he's listening in, but Australian point systems, don't even get me started. Anyway, for the TSRC, 30 for a win, 24 for second, 20, 17, 16, and then it goes down in 1-point intervals all the way down to P20, who gets a sole 1 point. Of course, an additional point gets awarded for the fastest lap of the race, which means, Kelsey, for 2 of our championships in the pros and the AMs, it's winner takes all.
Yeah, it is, and it's such an incredibly close battle all across, really. I mean, even the pro-ams, you know, it's just, even though it's that 10-point gap in it between the top 2, it still could swing either way. Any incidents that could happen on the circuit are really going to bite hard, especially since it's the finale of the season as well. What a season it's been, by the way. I was only here from race number 3, but even in that 4-event period, I've been able to witness some absolutely amazing racing between all of the pros, all of the pro-ams, all of the AMs as well, and there's been just such an incredible quality of it, and I'm so glad to be included in amongst it all. And yeah, it's going to be quite the season finale as we go ahead through qualifying.
Of course, and well, while we do finally turn our attention to the qualifying session, 15 minutes were on the clock. They've now got down to 10 left to go. Guillaume Hamling at the moment sets the benchmark on a 2:01.215, which as it stands is 1.3 seconds clear of Dominic Aligna. Guillaume Hamling, of course, was on the podium the last time we were here in Bathurst, all the way back in season 1 for round number 5, but he was able to get himself onto the podium and doing so in spectacular fashion and carrying that momentum into today. Definitely very confident, but Kelsey, I know you're not necessarily overly familiar with Bathurst as a circuit, but it's tight, it's twisty, track position surely has got to be key, but also qualifying, getting that track position surely is so difficult because not only is the circuit like this, it's also pitch black.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, before the stream this evening, I had been having a look into Bathurst, and I'll tell you what, this circuit really lives up to that name. Mount Panorama, what a name for such a spectacular track. You've got insanely long straights, you've got so much sort of up and down and lots of elevation, undulation, as you like to say, Zach. You love that. You love a bit of undulation at a racing circuit. And it's such a physical track as well. I was watching along board, I don't know what category of racing he drives, but he was a real driver and saying that it's even such a physical circuit to walk, let alone to drive it. And that twisty downhill section, absolutely insane to ride on board with. I watched it for the first time a couple of weeks ago and I was just blown away. Like, I can't believe people actually race around this racetrack, and the walls are so incredibly close by. We've talked a lot about how other circuits it's being met with the grass as we watch Striker really almost lose the car there coming to this twisty downhill section in the pitch black. And yeah, to speak about the pitch black, actually, it's, you know, this circuit's hard enough without it being dark. You can only see a few feet ahead of you as you're going into the circuit, and with the walls so close as well. You know, I was thinking of the one comparison for this track, Zach, and this is Canada. You know, the circuit's Jules Villeneuve on steroids.
Yeah, I can see that, to be fair. I mean, Gilles Villeneuve is very flat, as opposed to this, which is just up, down, all over the place, left, right, wherever. It's like Portimao and Gilles Villeneuve had a baby, basically, is Bathurst, I would say, is probably the closest thing you can get to it. But it's you can't even compare. That doesn't even do it justice. In all fairness, Bathurst is just a phenomenal circuit. I mean, when people talk about the best race circuits in the world, you know, you get the odd ones crop up. You get Spa, you get the Nordschleife, you get Silverstone occasionally, but some people, you know, they forget about Bathurst. I know Lewis McGlade doesn't like to, of course. He is very keen on the fact that Bathurst is one of the best racing circuits in the world. But I don't know, why is it so easy to shrug under the bus? Because this is such a sensational circuit, and one that has got such a prestigious name in terms of racing. The sort of the Bathurst 12-hour V8 supercars that come here. Australian Motorsports really does have a big centre around Bathurst, and for good reason, because, well, it is just absolutely incredible. There is little to none that can really, you know, compare it to. If you can tame this beast, you can almost tame anything, let's put it that way.
Yeah, for sure. This is such a huge circuit, especially in Australian motorsport, and that's all of the things that I've heard about Bathurst when I've been looking into the circuit. And you know, today, this qualifying session, we've got 6.5 minutes or so left, and it's going to be absolutely vital to get a good qualifying lap in here. But it's such an intense drive. You know, you're going uphill, downhill, left, right, and you're really on the limit at all time. You must be precise. This circuit rewards precision, and you look at the track and you think you know, there are elements of it that are quite wide, but I feel around here there's such a small margin for error. You've really got to be pinpoint accurate on overtaking. You've really got to be pinpoint accurate on the lines that you take through this circuit. You've got to stay away from the dreaded barriers and just really get the most out of this track. And you know, if you're off the circuit even by a fraction, that could be, you know, your race. That's it, it's over. It could be. But you know, these drivers are of an incredibly high quality, and at the moment it's Hamling leading the way 2 tenths ahead of Dominic Aligna.
Yeah, I mean, it's a long lap, it's a tricky lap, it really is a driver's circuit, which is understandably why we've got some, to be fair, you know, quite wide gaps for the TSRC standards. I mean, we've had some really close laps as Marie Stryker puts in a pretty good one there, up to just 3 tenths off the pole time of Guillaume Hamling. There we go, Sir Smoggy now within 1/10 of a second. That's remarkably close. You think 1/10 of a second, you blink and that's gone. right? And they're doing a 2-minute lap around a circuit like this. You know, that is such a tricky sort of margin to find yourself into, but it's a margin that the driver really makes a difference. It's so easy for drivers to fair enough, be on the cautious side, back off a little bit, but it's those drivers like Sir Smoggy, of course, at the front end of the field, who are doing such an incredible job that they're just making that difference, breaking that little bit later, pushing that inch closer to the barrier, that are allowing them to make that crucial difference in a very, very crucial qualifying session.
Yeah, that's it. And the drivers who do get the most out of this circuit are the ones that are going to be rewarded. We're watching Davide Massi make his way down the hill now. This intense section that I was talking about, the onboards of this, by the way, are just something else. Like, I was just absolutely enthralled by how a driver can make it through there in real life, let alone behind the wheel of a sim rig. And yeah, these guys are doing great. And obviously, Davide Massi is one of the two people we're watching in the AMs at the moment. For the top place. He's only a few tenths behind Elias Troyer at the moment, and he'll want to try and maximise the circuit, and that's what you've got to do. It's going to be hard to overtake here, Zach, and it's going to be quite the race once we get underway.
It is indeed. It's a crucial lap for Davide Massi for Nordest Racing Team. He's really been towards the front in terms of the AMs, as 1 point off the championship lead of Elias Troyer, and that comes down to a fastest lap. That is literally it. He is, as it stands, 4 tenths of a second off the AM pole position time across the line. He goes ahead, 15th overall, and while to some of you that might not seem anything to write home about, I mean, he's towards the back end of the field. But what's crucial is he's ahead of Elias Troyer. And not only is he ahead of Elias Troyer, he's also got his teammates of Zampieri in between the two of them. That is a massive advantage if he can keep it going into the race today.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you've got to remember in this series, you know, there may be 3 different races going on at the same time, but they're all fighting for the same piece of tarmac. So even though, you know, the likes of Massi and Zampieri aren't really fighting for points between the two of them, they are still, you know, I guess they're still teammates in a sense. And, you know, Zampieri could really be, you know, a thorn in Elias Troyer's side if he doesn't manage to improve on his lap and get away. And we've only got about 2.5 minutes even. I was looking at the wrong timing at the top left of this qualifying session, and we're really getting into crunch time now. I think we're watching Samuel Chumley, I've said it right this time,
there we go,
making his way through. I still want to say Chimondoli. I'm not going to let that go.
Yeah, I never will. Honestly, it's ridiculous. I'm going to keep at the admins of the TSRC for not leaving me in the dark for it for literally 2.5 seasons. But anyway, going into Season 3 and Season 4, we'll be fine. Because, yeah, we know what he's called now. Anyway, 2 minutes left. And, of course, anyone crossing the lap time from this point on will be their final lap time. As it works in ACC, if you cross the line before the checker flag is waved, you are allowed to complete your lap. It is a very, very long one, so we do sort of sit waiting for people to complete their laps around, but of course it's worth the wait because of how amazing the laps look. Guillaume Hamling into the pit lane for the 351 Lamborghini. That is going to spell an end to his qualifying session. So Smoggy, Maurice Stryker, Dominic Ligner, anyone inside that top 5, if they fancy a chance at pole, now's the time to do it.
Yeah, it is, and the times are close. It's under a second between the top 5, but I think the drivers will be looking out for pole position. Most likely Sir Smoggy, Maurice Stryker, and Dominic Ligner there, who are, you know, all within just over 2.5 tenths of a second of Hamling's time. And how close Smoggy is as well. He's 0.08 of a second away from that time at the top of the pros, and it could really go either way. Somebody's got to put in a lap. I must say, we're watching along with Conzabo at the moment, and he's doing a great job out there. He's gone P6, Zach, for in the pros there. That's an amazing lap.
That is indeed. Gergely Conchabo, of course, 4th place in the silver Pro-Am middle class, whatever you want to call it. It's one that's been chopping and changing for the entire season. But officially it is the silvers. He's up there in 6th place overall. Massive, massive gain. And, well, we'll have to wait and see what implications that could have. Maybe getting himself into the top 3 inside the championship. For those of you asking in the YouTube chat, first of all, welcome into the YouTube chat. It's an absolute pleasure to have you with us in the JP Broadcasting YouTube channel. Make sure to like, subscribe, all that shenanigans if you want to keep up with everything sim racing. And, well, he's beat me to it. It is the same race length, the same format, 50-minute qualifying into a 40-minute race. Nothing's changed, nothing like that. We're not going for an hour-long race or anything of that standard, which I think is a good thing. I don't think it needs to be changed. It's the season finale, 40 minutes around Bathurst. I think is really long enough, as Paolo Rubini has very much proved how easily it can go wrong at any point during those 40 minutes.
Yeah, that looked like quite a bit of a hit, and yeah, these walls are so close. You can see as we ride along with Maurice Stryker at the moment, just how close, and on the onboards, you really get a better view of it. And look, you can see what I was talking about in terms of the pitch blackness. You've only got a little bit, so the road is just coming at you rather than you being able to see it ahead, but it's still just the same, more or less, because there is a lot of blind corners. There's a lot of, all the undulation there as well as he passes that slower car there. Really does not set you up well for being able to see where you're going, and just that qualifying in these sorts of conditions is just making it all the harder. But he's managed to find a way through, and that didn't look too great for Stryker. I think that might be his qualifying over.
All eyes turn to Sir Smokey then, who is heading himself into the Forest's Elbow, probably one of the most important corners on the circuit. It's all about the exit here. 85 thousandths of a second, less than a tenth between himself and pole position, and in terms of his championship charge, that could be so vital for Sir Smokey, because he needs some position over at Sam Fleety. He is the last person inside the top 8 to still be on the circuit, and well, this is it. A bit of traffic just in front of him, but he heads himself into the chase for the final time in this qualifying session. Could it be a sensational pole position for the German driver who has boasted so much success in this season? One more corner left to go before he crosses the line. 85 thousandths. Has he made the difference? Has he got it on pole? A little bit wide off the final corner. No! Half a tenth improvement, not enough. Guillaume Hamling is on pole position for the season finale of the TSRC GT3 PC ACC League here. Well, I am incredibly looking forward to this, and well, qualifying is drawn to a close. That was a good one.
Sensational qualifying route for a sensational circuit. We've had quite the show here. I think Sir Smokey might be a little bit annoyed he couldn't quite improve on that time. It's going to be incredibly close, but I'll let you run through the standings, Zach, as we go in toward the race.
Guillaume Hamling then takes pole position. One purple sector for him sees him take a 2:01.215. Only 5 laps it took him to set that, and well, it's a very crucial pole position indeed. Sir Smokey will join him on the front row, just 3/100ths of a second back. Maurice Stryker, Dominic Ligner, 3rd and 4th, with 2nd place in the championship. Sam Fleety down in 5th. He's got some ground to make up if he wants to win not only this race, but this championship. Eric Larson joins him on the 3rd row. Chumley, Veldman, 7th and 8th, with Conchabo pole for the Silvers. Varshlav Volodya joins him to round off the top 10. Then comes Jack Southard and Oscar Cerisco. Scott Vincent, 2nd place for the Silvers. Then comes Luca Raya. Crucial for him in terms of his advancements in securing this championship. Mark Pete is just in behind him. Davide Masti, vital pole position for the AMs for him. They're in 16th. Zampieri, Elias Troyer just in behind, missing out, but needs to make some ground up because that AM championship is coming down to the wire. Felix Sheff just in behind with Paulo Rubini rounding off the top 20. James Wright all the way back down in the Silvers. He's got some ground to make up potentially as well to move his way forward. Steenberg and Blankensteiner, Williams and Quantrell, your 25 driver field for the race today. 40 minutes on the clock, and well, surely the adrenaline's running. This is the final round. Whether you're in a championship battle or not, this means something.
Yeah, it does. It's like I said, it's crunch time. Is what I keep saying, but it's so important to the race. It's so important that every driver gets the most out if they can of this race, and that's exactly what they're going to be doing. I think Sir Smokey's going to be looking behind him. I mean, he'll want to try and dispatch of Hamling as quickly as possible, and he'll certainly be feeling that pressure because there is a championship on stake. Sam Fleety's not far behind. He's in P5, so he's got a few cars to try and navigate, but he's not going to be too far. And he's going to be, posing a threat. And still, Dominic Ligner could get involved in this as well. It's not. There's so many drivers that are all going to be bunched up on the beginning of the race, and it's all going to be, tensions, all guns blazing once the green flags start waving here at Bathurst.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, literally, as soon as that visor goes down, you are in race mode. A bit of a mistake, actually. I said earlier on, I've just double checked in terms of the last time we were here at Bathurst. I remember looking at the qualifying session as opposed to the race session. Last time we were here at Bathurst, round 5 for season 1, it was Sammy Brignara, Sir Smoggy, and Samuel Chumley, your podium. Of course, it was not Guillaume Hamlin. He was up there in third in qualifying. So Smoggy then becomes the highest place driver to still be racing with us today. And well, he's going to be using that to better his chances in terms of the race today. Guillaume Hamlin, Sir Smoggy on pole position. And well, we're about to get ourselves underway for the formation lap. It is a big, big grid. It's a very, very tight circuit. And well, I mean, how important is this formation lap? How do you approach this formation lap? What is going through these drivers' heads? Do they set themselves targets? How would you as a driver go about this 2-minute formation lap before the 40 minutes to the season's end?
Well, as a driver, I think, you know, once the cars get moving, it's about trying to stay calm. It's about trying to keep you know, sort of get into race mode, I suppose. You're trying to sort of stay in that level. You're trying to suss out the circuit. You're trying to sort of not sort of slow down the breathing, but you're sort of running through some race rituals perhaps, and you're making sure that you're in a mental state in order to fight amongst these drivers, in order to drive the car to the best of your ability. You've really got to become one with the car when you're driving, and that's incredibly crucial, and the formation lap really does that for you, and it's going to be so vital that all of our drivers do that this evening, and especially at a circuit like this, that it's going to be all the more detrimental to their races. It's such, like I've said, it's such a physical track. It's one that's going to demand a lot from the drivers. It's 40 straight minutes of racing. That may equate to about 20-25 laps or so of action, but a lot can happen in that time. A lot can happen in motorsport, and you can see on these helicopter cameras just how intense this circuit must look. I mean, from the layout, you don't really see a lot of that. You know, from a track map, you don't see that. But when you're on there, you're feeling the track. You're understanding, right, this is where I can and can't do. Here it's thinner. Here it's a little bit wider. Here I can push. Here's where I can overtake. And there's all these things going through your mind. And it's just about sort of quietening that and thinking, right, no matter what's going on around me, no matter the championship situation, I'm here, I'm going to drive, and I'm going to race these guys as hard as I can and do the best that I can. And it's all about getting yourself ready for that, because we spoke about it before, Zach. There's two battles going on the track, really. I mean, there's probably more, but there's the battles between the physical cars, and then there's the mental battle between the drivers.
For sure, yeah, mentality is a huge thing, and well, pressure is something that comes alongside that. And when it comes to pressure, some drivers thrive under it. Some drivers are like, yeah, you know what pressure makes? Pressure makes diamonds. I'm going to be a diamond. I'm going to excel today. And then there's others that are like, yeah, but also pressure squishes you into oblivion. And they're the ones that are like, yeah, no, I'm going to stay in my shell. I'm going to crack a little bit. I'm going to bottle this corner. I'm going to go a little bit wide here. Those sort of the big dividers that you have to control when it comes to races like this. In my eyes, it's any other race. Go out there and do everything you normally would do. Hit all those apexes. Forget about the championship. Only care when you cross the line. And, well, if you've won it, then fantastic. If you haven't, then, well, you could have done maybe a little bit more. But that's, again, where hindsight comes into things. I guess also with that, you do have to sort of keep the championship in the back of your mind. Be like, yeah, no, I need to send this move a little bit more. And that could be what we see a little bit more of, is people being a little bit more desperate, particularly with Sam Fleety there down in 5th place for the pros. But, Kelsey, before these guys get themselves underway, I'm going to throw you in the bus. I'm going to be like, well, who's coming out on top, not only for the race, but for each championship?
Each championship, gosh, you really are throwing me into the frying pan, I suppose. But, well, I think despite the quality of drivers he's got around him, I think Sir Smoggy is in the best position. So I think I'd be a fool not to say Sir Smoggy for the pros. Looking in towards the silvers, I think, let me just quickly switch my tabs. I think Luca Raya, just because of the points, he's got it, I think. And he's in a decent place to do it. But Conzabo, actually, I want to keep an eye on him, because I reckon he's got something in the tank. And as far as the arms go, I can't tell you. But if I'm going to put anything on it, I'm going to say Elias Troy will come out on top.
Here we go then, one final time. Guillaume Hamlin, Sir Smoggy, your front row. He's teasing it. He wants to go through the final corner to start us off for 40 minutes. Round number 6 of the TSRC GT3 PC ACC League. And, well, we're about to get ourselves underway. The green flag waves, you put your foot to the floor, and Guillaume Hamling will lead us down in towards turn at number 1. Sir Smokey gets a decent launch as well, already looking to the outside. Bit of a kerfuffle in the background as well. Is Sir Smokey going to send the move to the outside to take the race lead? Indeed he is. Fantastic start from the German. Guillaume Hamling is going to try and fight back. They're too wide in the background as well as Maurice Stryker and Dominic Ligner fight their way over 3rd place as well. What has Sam Fleety done in terms of a start? I think he stayed stationed. Sir Smokey defensive. Guillaume Hamling pulls out to the left-hand side as they run their way in towards turn number 2. Who's going to come out on top? It's a long way round for Guillaume Hamling. He's going to give it a go. Very, very wide. Here comes Dominic Ligner on the scene, looking to the inside. Once more, the outside for the following very, very fast sweeper of the left-handers. There is Maurice Stryker also on the scene, and Guillaume Hamling very quickly going from 1st to 3rd in the span of only a couple of corners. But wow, 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 the perfect start for the championship leader.
Yeah, he just, you know, put his foot to the floor and said, all right, Hamling, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to send it on the inside of this corner, and I'm going to make sure you work for this. And he definitely did that, and he got ahead and everything as well. And he made Hamling go for a move around the outside, which proved to be to his detriment, because he didn't only lose a place to Sir Smokey, but Dominic Ligner smelt blood in the water, and he got ahead up into P2, and he's going to be putting the chase now onto Sir Smokey as we watch Nico Velman make his way down towards through this twisty section, chasing after Samuel Chumley.
Indeed, so I think it's a fairly clean start for the majority of the field, which is something we can't really boast about too often when it comes to Bathurst. Bit of an update in terms of the rest of the field. Conchabo still leads for the Silvers, just in behind Nico Velban in the Honda NSX, and then of course looking to the AMS. Elias Stroyer ahead of Davide Massi, because unfortunately the Nordest Racing Team boys did not get off to the best of starts, and while Jack Southwood eyeing up a move on Slab Bologna in towards the chase, not quite close enough to go for a move. But Elias Stroyer, that first lap, and well, he might as well have just done himself a lot of favours in terms of that AM Championship.
Yeah, I mean, when the points margins are so close, you really need to be thinking, right, I've got to get the best out of my performance here. And he's going to have a lot of pressure on as the laps tick down, or as the time ticks down, I suppose, as he's going to really be thinking, right, if I make any mistakes here, Davide Massi's going to find his way straight back past me, and that's it. That could be the difference between winning the AMS Championship and losing that AMS Championship. I mean, if you're not first, you're last, in the great words of Ricky Bobby. Yeah, it's going to be such an interesting fight between the AMS.
Oscar Saristo taking a premature pit stop, and of course, yes, pit stops are indeed mandated for this series, however not this early at all, so unfortunately that is going to be some damage repair going the way of the Finn in the Aston Martin. Back to the live action though, and Jack Southwood is hot on the heels of Vaishnav Volodya. This is for P9 in the Pro Championship, and Jack Southwood, a little bit too much curb, very, very squirrely, coming uphill, and well, that was incredibly close. He very much did have his heart in the mouth there, and the Porsche is a car, I mean, it's very twitchy. It's one that you really do have to be in a rhythm with, and as soon as you're out of that, it will very much chew you up and spit you out. And Jack Southwood, with that combination here at Bathurst, proving how difficult it is to tame the Porsche, and not only to tame the Porsche, but to tame the mountain. He was perilously close to disaster, and well, here we go, the slipstream for Dominic Ligner. Could we see a change for the race lead very, very, very shortly?
Possibly so. These are incredibly long straights, and he's closing and closing and closing. He's going to have a little bit of a look now towards the inside of that Mercedes, but no way through just yet. He's going to continue to follow along, but so are the cars behind as well. Any mistakes, and those cars are going to be coming through. It's all aboard the Sir Smokey train at the moment, though, as they follow through this incredibly long and fast part of the circuit, and the exits are going to be very important for these next couple of corners.
Indeed so. It did seem that Dominic Ligner did have the advantage in terms of straight line speed, heading his way towards the chase, the final chicane of the circuit, of course. And well, now the run up towards turn number 2. Could we see a move potentially, or is he more willing just to sit behind? Is he happy just to sit behind? And how willing is Sir Smokey, in all fairness, to actually hold off the offensive from Dominic Ligner? Because the more he battles, the more people get drawn into this fight, and the more potential there is for him to tumble down the field. He can see in his rearview mirror that very, I want to say grey, the grey and orange Mercedes of Sam Fleety, just in behind him, a few cars back. He knows he's there, he knows the threat is there, and he knows how close this championship is. If Dominic Aligna goes for a move, would you let him through?
You're a racing driver, Zach, as well as a commentator myself, and I think, you know, your racing drivers are selfish by nature, so you're not going to let anybody through. You're going to try and fight as fairly as possible, but as we've seen in this championship already, you know, incidents are never far away, and when they do happen, they are incredibly spectacular. I think Jack Southfield's one driver who knows that all too well in this series at the moment. But me personally, I've been known as the brick wall, Zach, and I'm not letting anyone through.
Yeah, I mean, well, there we go. There is Sumo using his sim racing prowess to prove it. But yeah, defensive driving is honestly one of my favourite things in the world. Oh, well, there's a dive. Brilliantly done, almost, by Elias Troy. Making some contact, is that with Mark Peters? Potentially so. So from one championship rival to another, of course, across the classes, but definitely two championship rivals in of itself. Elias Troy making contact with Mark Peters there. I don't want to say anything, but if that's a penalty, that could definitely spell some bad news for Elias Troyer for, well, what seemed to be quite an innocent mistake in all fairness. He just seemed to break out a little bit too late, and unfortunately, it did tag round Mark Peters. That was, yeah, questionable at the very, very least, and, well, absolutely unfortunate for Mark Peters at the worst. And, well, big news in terms of the championship, not only for the Silvers, but also the AMs. That could be Davide Massi's saving grace.
It certainly could. I'm going to refrain from putting my stewarding cap on there. I think it's, yeah, that's not the incident that, not the incident that he would have wanted to have happened there and that corner. And it's just proven my point, really, Zach. This track, you need to pick your places, and look, here it is again.
It's panic.
And yeah, it's panic. He was just, oh, I'm going to go for the move, but it was just a door that was always closing. There was never going to be enough room for a move, especially through such a tight and twisting section of circuit. And yeah, I don't want to comment on it too much, but yeah, a bit of desperation perhaps.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was just a case he was running so close to the car behind that he just broke that little bit too late. It's easily done. I mean, the pressure that is on Troy's shoulders at the moment must be sensationally large. And unfortunately, he's also got Davide Massi's teammate, Rubini, knocking on his door saying hello. I mean, I'm not really in any championship fight. I'm more than happy to slow you down as we go back up to the fight for fourth, well, for the fight for the lead. In all fairness, the top five separated by only a few car lengths apiece, and it is incredibly close as we run our way towards the third way mark. 32 minutes left to go in this race, and well, we'll have to wait and see as to what's going to happen for the remainder of it. Locked really in a bit of a slipstream chain, in all fairness, as they run their way through the right hander. No moves out in front, no moves for anyone inside the top five, but Sam Fleety with the fastest lap, and there's a mistake from Maurice Stryker. He's going to have to try and pick him off one by one.
Yeah, he is. We're going to go side by side into the final corner now, and it's going to be the outside line for Sam Fleety. Can he make it his way past that Honda at the moment? He's got a much better run as he goes along now, and it could be the corner. That's it. It's Sam Fleety up into P4 at the moment, and Stryker, that mistake really costing him dear now. And I was just about to comment as well. These two will be saying, come on, Hamlin, get a move on. These two are getting away. You need to get past him. And Sam Fleety, if anyone can get past Hamlin and challenge the likes of Sir Smoggy and Dominic Aligna, well, it's that man in the Mercedes.
It is indeed up to the front. Dominic Aligna having a bit of a look, and Sam Fleety is going to be egging on Aligna. He's going to be like, yeah, go for the move, send it, go for the move, hold him up for me, please. But Sam Fleety, a crucial job, ticked one off. Brilliant. Okay, there's one more. Now set your eyes forward, as that is so scary. Riding on the rear view wing of Sir Smokey, looking back at Dominic Aligna, of course, and well, he can still see his championship rival, but Sam Fleety, a vital overtake. Next up, Kim Hamling. He's got to set his sights and got to dig deep, I think, if he wants to win this championship. As it stands, Sir Smokey is cruising lightly. I say that lightly. He's cruising out in front. He's got a clear track ahead of him. He's the one he's the one with a lot to lose at this point, whereas Sam Fleety has everything to gain. He needs to gain places. The pressure is on Sam Fleety to gain those places. All Sir Smokey has to do is not make a massive mistake, pretty much, whereas Sam Fleety, he's got a lot of ground to gain.
Yeah, he does. He's got to make moves. He's got to take risks, and that is, you know, that puts so much more pressure on his shoulders. Sir Smoggy, all he's got to do, keep Dominic Aligna in his sights, and really doesn't have to fight him all too much. He's not going to lose too much by losing a place to Dominic Aligna in these stages. And speaking of, it's side by side for these two. These two have been battling all season long from here and there, but they're going to be going side by side once again. Sir Smokey is going to say, you're not coming through this time. I may not be fighting you too hard, but I'm definitely not going to make it easy. And here comes Hamling as well. He's going to look to the outside of Dominic Aligna. He's going to try and find a way through, but no way as they go through. They continue to go one by one as they cross the line. 30 minutes or so left to go, and still no place is made up, but great action.
Incredibly fantastic action. So Smokey knows the stakes of this, and while losing one place to Dominic Aligna could spark the chain reaction that sees him lose the place to Hamling, and then maybe eventually Fleety as well. He's going to try and hang on to that place as best he can, but a mighty offensive maneuver there from Dominic Aligna, who once again is looking to the inside, maybe not quite close enough on this particular occasion, but putting the pressure on, and all three of those definitely showing their intentions are clear. They want to get involved in this fight. They want to get involved into the mix and maybe up onto the race lead. And all that's done is, well, Sam Fleety now right onto the back on that fight for the podium. I mean, seriously, yes, they're 3 places apart, but they are only about a second and a half apart when you take it at face value. 28 minutes left to go in this race, well, closer to 29 in all fairness. Anything can happen.
It certainly can. Sam Fleety, I know the feeling well of watching cars battle ahead of you, and he'll be saying, "Go on, boys, keep fighting, keep battling, keep poking each other. Just let me draw ever so closer," and then that's when those mistakes can creep in, and that's when Sam Fleety his job can be made a hell of a lot easier here. And there's a mistake from Dominic Aligna, yeah, running incredibly wide, and that's not going to help him as he's chasing Sir Smokey. And I think Hamling has again smelt blood in the water, and it's going to be side by side as they run down this straight. It's going to be a drag race all the way to the corner, and the speed is on Hamling, but Aligna is going to keep with him at the moment. Sam Fleety's going to be loving this ahead of him. They're coming down to this chicane now, and it's going to be Hamling ahead of Aligna at the moment, and it's P2 for the Lamborghini.
It is indeed. Dominic Aligna, though, eyeing up the counter-attack as soon as possible. Gim Hamlin going defensive. Here comes the Audi to the outside. The left-hand side of shot, the right-hand side of the circuit. Late on the brakes for the pair of them, though it seems the Lamborghini is just that little bit later. Meanwhile, Sir Smokey with some blistering pace, 1.5 seconds clear of the rest of the field. And Sam Fleety, you said, is going to be loving the fact they're fighting. Maybe not so much now because of the fact that Sir Smokey is breaking away from those in behind. Through turn number 1 for one more time. And once again, defensive goes Gim Hamlin. He is trying to hang on to this second place. The pit window is now open, of course, as well. Dominic Aligna, does he have the legs down the straight? Does Sam Fleety have the bravery on the brakes? Pulling off to the outside line. Dominic Aligna maybe sending a move. No changes in terms of the equilibrium as it stands in that fight for second. But, well, I mean, here we go. The chase is on, really, for Sam Fleety. He needs to clear these two and get a move on versus Sir Smokey.
Yeah, he does. All this is going to be slowing him down now, and it's all well and good watching the cars ahead of you fighting, but when the leader's running away, that's it. You know, it's really got to be do or die. You've got to get past those cars now, Sam, and he'll be thinking about that as they go along. But they're bumper to bumper for an incredibly long time in the first few parts of the circuit. But this is incredibly close racing, and it's not going to be over just yet. Pit window is open now, of course, and we've seen in the past that is what can decide races. We saw how many places Dominic Aligna lost last week, and how much time he lost, and he did make up some of that time after the pit stop. But it's going to be crucial now, and I'll be interested to see how those do shake out as the race continues.
Indeed so, and well, down the Conrod straight once more, or well, dip down, then back up again, then back down again. It really is up and down all over the place as Bathurst, but you climb over the crest, then you straight away dip yourself back down. Is there any changes potentially for these guys up in front? I don't think that is going to be the case. Bit of a fight in the silvers as well. Scott Vincent and Felix Cheff very, very close together. In terms of the championship fight in the AMS, Elias Troyer done a fantastic job there in 12th overall, just about 3 seconds behind this fight. Could we see the pole going for the move potentially? This will be for second place in class, and Scott Vincent going defensive, trying to find the gap though as the pole, ducking and diving, trying to find any way through, but Scott Vincent making that BMW mightily wide.
Yeah, he is. We've seen Scott Vincent out on the circuit, and he's been able to defend places. And we saw it in Silverstone, and that's Chef peeling into the pit lane then. So he's going to come in for his mandatory
Fleety too.
stop. Fleety's in as well. So trying to go for an undercut, I think, is Sam. And he'll be wanting that to work out, and he'll be hoping that Dominic Aligna and Hamlin keep fighting so he gets ahead of them and tries to gain some time on Sir Smoggy, because that's the man he's fighting out on circuit. That's the man he needs to finish ahead of. And yeah, it's going to be incredibly vital, and these pit stops could shake up the standings quite significantly.
Sam Fleety is going to be hoping that he gets himself up into some clear air as soon as he rejoins the circuit, because he knows to get him handling Dominic Aligna into the barrier. Big off for him. Fortunately, I think he's managed to get away with it. However, his front left wheel alignment is not going to be liking that hit at all. I think he's already struggling just a little bit to keep it pointing the right way, and well, that is really going to tarnish his progress in this race. And well, what could we see? That's definitely got to be one more ticked off for Sam Fleety. The question is, can he get it relative to Guillaume Hamlin, and more importantly, Sir Smoggy? I think the main thing for him, as it stands in this point of the race, if he can get to the halfway mark, if he can get past the pit stops, and he can be ahead of Guillaume Hamlin, that second and a half back on Sir Smoggy, I think he's got a chance. But that is a big if, and he needs to make the absolute most of this chance now, where he's got 7 seconds of clear air in front of him.
Yeah, he certainly does, and that's going to be vital. He's really got to put his mind to everything that he's doing now. Like I said before, this circuit really rewards precision, so that's the time when you've not got cars around you to distract you. You've got to think, right, it's me, the circuit. I've got to put in the time. I've got to close that gap. And it's going to be insanely vital as we are about approaching the halfway point of the race.
Yeah, not far off it now, just over a minute and 11 minutes on the pit stop window. Guillaume Hamlin stays up for another lap. So Smoggy coming into the pit lane. We're following on in this fight between Samuel Chumley and Eric Larson. And, well, there's one of the BMWs now leaving the pit lane. That might be Luca Raya, I believe so. And, well, he's not getting in the way of this fight at all. Samuel Chumley hot in pursuit of the number 47 machine just in front, but not quite close enough for a move into turn number 2. But well, now this is crunch time. This is where of course we need Sam Fleety to really put a great lap in versus Sir Smoggy, because well we watch him leave the pit lane as the standings reset themselves. Is Sir Smoggy going to come out ahead or behind of Sam Fleety? Only time will tell. And well, if it's one way, what is the gap going to be? We're suspended in anticipation, waiting for the German to leave the pit lane. There he goes, ticks it off, leaving. Where is Sam Fleety? There is Václav Volodya. Long way back. He has gained a lot of time in the pit lane, has Sir Smoggy.
Yeah, he has. It's not quite worked out for Sam Fleety, and he'll be annoyed to see how far ahead he is as well. Not only that, he's got a car behind him as well. That's really not going to help out his campaign as well. But what he's got to do now is focus, get into that place, and just drive. Just try and catch up to Sir Smoggy as best as he can, because that's the only thing that's going to make any changes now, is getting past his rival and just, you know, doing the talking on the track.
It's true. Sir Smoggy has been doing that all season long. Well, he's going to be looking to tick off yet another victory. But Guillaume Hamlin with some incredible pace, in all fairness, in that 351 Lamborghini, setting the fastest lap recently and leading the way ahead of Dominic Aligna, who doesn't, to be fair, seem to be struggling all that much. We come back to Samuel Chumley, who pulls his way into the pit lane. A very tricky and technical pit lane here at Bathurst. I was going to talk you through it, but we've got pit walls in the way, so I won't. There's a little bit of a finagly chicane, I guess, is for lack of a better term. You go right, then you go left, and it is quite fidgety, again, for lack of a better term. I mean, it is just very, very awkward, very tight, and you have to have quite a bit of commitment about it. So that could definitely be a big divider when it comes to some pit stop times, because, well, fuel is mandatory, and some people are going to take a little bit more, a little bit less. I think it is locked at 30 seconds anyway, so you might save yourself some time by not taking tyres, but it's probably advantageous to. But yeah, the big divider is probably going to be coming into the pit lane. How late can you brake before you put the limiter on? How quickly can you stop on your marks and hit your marks right? And again, how quickly can you disengage that pit limiter and get yourself back up to speed? Those are going to be the main points. And while, yes, they do seem quite trivial, Kelsey, those thousandths, hundredths of a second, they add up.
Yeah, they certainly do, and I'm used to incredibly small margins. Formula One has been a sport that I've followed incredibly well, and I commentate and know the most about. And margins like that are what decide races there, and it's all the same here as well. You're gaining time, losing time, and I've been noticing that the drivers, some of them take a few different lines through the corners as well, and it's also things like that. It's sort of testing out the circuit, and that's what a formation lap and qualifying can help you do as well. It's to sort of find places where you can gain and that time as well. But the pit stops, you know, it may seem like a menial task, but it's so vital to how the race plays out and how everything happens going forward, that you've really got to think, right, what can I do to make sure that I'm losing as little time as possible?
For sure, and well, motor racing is that in of itself. I mean, we saw just today that the margin between pole and second was 32 thousandths of a second. As again, as I say, you blink and that's gone. That is absolutely nothing to the naked eye, but to racing drivers, it is absolutely everything. A tenth of a second is a year. A second is a decade. That is how long, relative to racing, things like this are. Dominic Aligna into the pit lane. Guillaume Hamling rejoins, not too far off the back of Sir Smokey. In all fairness, you can see the German just in front of him. So the race is on now, and well, he's going to be hoping, well, Sam Fleety's going to be hoping that Guillaume Hamlin gets onto the rear end and annoys Sir Smokey just a little bit.
This is what we've been talking about, Zach. Hamlin has gained time on Sir Smokey in the pit lane, and that is going to be music to Sam Fleety's ears. He's going to be hoping that Hamlin can really interject as well. And don't forget, Maurice Stryker and Dominic Aligna, who has just peeled into the pit lane, are, well, yet to come out, so we'll see where they emerge. Dominic Aligna could lose some time here. I'm not sure exactly when he peeled into the pit lane because of how at ACC, about 30 seconds ago, so we might just see him come out. Keep an eye on the left hand side of the screen.
Nope.
No, he's not out, so he could end up being behind Sam Fleety, and this is another case of Dominic Aligna losing time in the pits. I think it is.
There he is. They very, very, you know, you get your binoculars out and you look for Dominic Aligna. He is very far back, and well, big divider in terms of the pit stops then, and we thought Sam Fleety lost a lot of time. Maybe, to be fair for Dominic Aligna, he might have had some damage to repair from his hit going uphill. I think that might have been the differentiating factor when it came to Dominic Aligna, and maybe his pit stop going a little bit haywire. But anyway, we focus our attention here. So Smokey, Guillaume Hamling, the gap between Hamling and Fleety under 3 seconds. 18 minutes left to go, and well, as it stands, Sir Smokey's got one hand on the trophy, but we've still got 18 minutes left to decide it. And I'll be honest, I'm nervous, not just for Guillaume Hamling, not just for Sir Smokey, Sam Fleety as well. I mean, I don't know who's going to come out on top. I'm excited, I'm giddy, I want to see who comes out on top, but unfortunately, we've got about, give or take, about 6 or 7, 8 laps left to go in this race. It's on. The race really is on, and now there's no pit stops. All it is that run to the checker flag, and it is a full-on sprint to the end.
It certainly is. A motorsport is just a mixed bag of emotions, isn't it? It's the unknown as well. Anything can happen. I mean, anything can happen in such a small amount of time. I mean, it's just that's what makes motorsport so exciting. Like you know, any minute now, Hamlin could just decide, right, I'm going to just go for a move and see how it goes. And Sir Smokey and Hamlin could come together, and that could, you know, define the race as well. And you know, there's just such an there's just, I don't know. I'm so excited and so mixed up about it. I just can't get my words out. That's how it is, Zach.
It is, and it's not like we're in here to talk or anything, so we kind of do need words. But yeah, no, I completely get what you mean, Kelsey, in the sense that, yeah, it's difficult sometimes to find the words that do it justice, because, yeah, it's so tricky sometimes. Maurice Stryker actually did a pretty good job in the pit lane, right onto the back of this lead fight. Sam Fleety now has one extra car to get through, 3 cars between himself and victory, not only for the final round here at Bathurst, but also for the Pro Championship in its entirety. With each passing minute, it does seem increasingly unlikely that Sam Fleety might not walk away with the championship belt, but never say never. As we say, literally all it takes is the smallest of mistakes from literally the smallest mistake and the largest of consequences, as Zampieri into the pit lane as well for the silvers. Keeping an eye, of course, on other championships. We've not just got the pros to focus on, but also the silvers, who I think is going to go the way of Luca Raya, and well, the AMs as well could go the way of Elias Troyer in the number 63 Audi. But down the hill once more through Skyline, then the S's, and well, through the final right-hander before you dip your way down. The car's weight really goes incredibly light as you run your way through there. Honestly, a three-way fight. So Smokey at the helm, he's surely got to be shaking.
Yeah, he is. He's got 2 cars behind him, and not only that, these two look incredibly geared up, and that Lamborghini, he's sniffing all over the back of the bumper of that Mercedes, and this could be a move here, side by side, again, as we run down to this chicane in the final sector of the circuit, and this could be the lead of the race for Hamling, if he can get it done, and I think it is. He's ahead of Sir Smokey as they approach the corner, and he's now the meat of the sandwich between Hamling and between Striker.
Beautifully done, Kelsey. Thank you so much for saying he's the meat of the sandwich. As well, Maurice Stryker goes to the outside, trying to find a way through. But yeah, just quickly, drama aside, I get so many people that say that the two, it's not a white bread sandwich, is it? No, it's a ham sandwich. It's the thing in the middle that defines the name of the sandwich. It's just the bread that's on the outside. Anyway, we'll digress, because that honestly is one of my pet peeves when it comes to people talking about sandwiches in commentary, is the fact that no, it's the pasta in the middle that is the sandwich, and is sandwiched between the two people on the outside. Regardless of which, we'll go back to the actual important stuff on the circuit. Actually, no, you know what? No, the sandwich stuff is very important, but the more important stuff of the racing action on circuit, with 14 minutes left to go in this race. And, well, as it stands, Guillaume Hamling leads the way. So Smokey now just in behind him, actually. In all fairness, it's not the worst position for Sir Smokey. Second place, I'm sure he'll take that as long as he finishes ahead of Sam Fleety.
Yeah, for sure, but he can't get complacent, and what he can't do as well is take unnecessary risks. Don't make a silly move in a silly place. Sort of use those long straights, do what Hamling did, get in the slipstream, and just get past the car in a more sensible manner, because Sam Fleety is creeping ever closer. It's almost under a second, that gap between himself and Maurice Stryker at the moment, and he's not out of the count at all. If Stryker decides to go for a move on Smokey, then who's Smokey got behind him? He's got his rival Sam Fleety, and he'll be thinking, right, this is my time. There's always time left for a move. It's, you know, it's not over till the fat lady sings, as they say. It's not over till the last minutes have run down. It's not over until you've crossed the line and the checkered flag is out, and Sam Fleety has definitely still got a championship on the cards here.
Interestingly enough, if one of them was to finish third and the other to finish fourth, this could potentially happen if Maurice Stryker gets ahead. 20 points for third, 17 for fourth. And funnily enough, the gap between the pair of them is 3 points. I'm going to check as to who will win on countback. So Smokey first, Sam Fleety 2 wins. So it would go the way of Sam Fleety if it is to stand, if Maurice Stryker gets ahead and Sam Fleety was able to get in front. In that hypothetical scenario, we do have to push that it is a hypothetical. It's not necessarily what's going to happen, but it's something that could well happen if Sir Smokey is losing a little bit of steam and running out of momentum. But he is keeping Guillaume Hamling in check. He's not doing too bad as the pit window closes. 12.5 minutes left to go with this race, and a fight here for the top 5. Eric Larson, Dominic Aligna, Mercedes going a little bit defensive, running his way towards turn number 2, and Dominic Aligna going to look to the left, the outside line, of course, for the Audi. Right-hand side of shot as they run their way in towards the long sweep return 2. Who's brave on the brakes? Bit of contact. Dominic Aligna sent sideways. Fair play to hang on to it, but well, easily done on the outside there. Bit of a tag, and well, he's sent sideways.
I think I saw that coming. I could see the body language of the car just going through. It didn't work too well for him last time, Dominic Aligna, and I think he's lucky that the barriers weren't there. A little Tokyo drift around that corner. But yeah, not the ideal move. And here's Blankensteiner on Chef at the moment in the exact same place, but this time he's got the inside, the easier way through, and that's the Mercedes up into 10th place at the moment. And that's how it's done in that corner.
It is, yeah. You really do have to go in on the inside. The outside works 1 out of 10 times into Quarry Bend, it's not really going to happen realistically. The margin for error is so tight, and of course, the fact that it's a long way round, that anything goes wrong and off you go, jobs are good and on your bike and you're in the barrier, pretty much is the simplest way to put it. 11 minutes left to go. The fight at the front still incredibly close, but half a second as they run their way down the Conrod Straight. Maurice Stryker looking incredibly close to strike against Smogy in towards the chase. Just a couple of car lengths too far back, so no way through for now. And Sam Fleety, in all fairness, getting dropped a little bit. He's reeling them in, but again, it's the thing with Smogy, he's keeping him at enough distance. He's an arm length back. He's fine. He's not really posing much of a threat right now. However, if/when Maurice Stryker finds a way through, that's when the threat really starts to emerge.
Yeah, he's definitely so, and he'll want to try and get past. I mean, championship aside, like I've said before, racing drivers, they're selfish. They want to try and finish the best that they can, and Maurice Stryker just proving that point, and I think he's using the support from Dan Pebbles cheering him on in the live chat as well. And it was a Hamling sandwich until Hamling became one of the 2 slices of bread in this metaphorical sandwich.
Yeah, I mean, it's, metaphorical sandwiches, all you like. I mean, the pun definitely was Hamling. I mean, fair play to the Sim Racing Collective YouTube channel. That was fair play. I like that. Good little pun. But yeah, the Dutch definitely do have each other's backs, and while they're not flying in orange as it stands around Mount Panorama, they are still cheering each other on, and Maurice Stryker trying to use that to full advantage into the final moments of the final round of what has been an incredible season through Skyline and in towards the S's. It never gets old running on board with a car through here. It is just brilliant. I mean, the sense of speed, it's like running down a hotel corridor, how fast you go when you run through there, because your field of view is so narrow, everything's coming at you so quickly. And well, that is exactly what can happen, because and it's not necessarily that you're going quicker, it's just that it seems like it's going quicker because, well, you're so close, it's all coming at you all at once, and you feel like you're flying, especially when you're going downhill like that. The weight transfer is that much. As once again they climb up the hill, dip back down again. Is Maurice Stryker even close enough to sniff a move to the inside? Once again, not quite. Sam Fleety still in the background, still chasing. Something needs to happen amongst the top 3 for him to get involved.
Yeah, it does, or he needs to try and find something more of in himself. And I've said this before, this race is incredibly physical, and I think at this point, with 8 minutes and 40 seconds or so left to go, the drivers really must be feeling it. They've got some traffic to navigate as well at the moment. That could play a part in this, and that's going to slow Sam Fleety down as well, and he doesn't want to get too caught up with it. Otherwise, he's just going to lose more and more time, and he's just managed to navigate the Italian Mercedes just behind him as well. But he's going to be eyes planted on Maurice Stryker and Sir Smogy as they battle away just ahead of him.
Indeed so, and looking back, of course, Kim Hamling trying to take a victory this season, and, well, as it stands, he's looking on course to do so here in Bathurst. And Dan People saying as long as Smogy has the slipstream from Mr. Hamling, it's going to be difficult, for Maurice Stryker to get through. And that is very true, in fact, is that Sir Smogy, while yes, he's stuck between a rock and a hard place and having to attack and defend, he is getting the slipstream from Hamling in front, which is allowing Stryker is disallowing Stryker to find a way through. It's allowing Smogy to have that margin for error, in the sense that he's gaining off Hamling, which negates the slipstream advantage for Stryker.
Yeah, it really does, and it's just frustrating being the end car, I suppose, in a train like this, because the guy in front of you's getting the slipstream, and you're getting the slipstream off of him as well, and it's just so, like, you just want to get past. That's it. That's all you're thinking about as well. And he's so close, but he's just really not gaining any ground at the moment as well. He's just sort of sitting there statically as they go down this straight, and it's very frustrating. And that's when some mistakes can creep in. But he's gained a little bit of time, actually, so he's looking quite put together. Is Maurice Stryker in that incredibly striking livery, as we've liked to call it. But Sam Fleety as well, he's caught up a little bit again. He did lose some time earlier in the lap. The gap was 1.7 to Maurice Stryker then, but it's 1.2 now, so he's still within the background. But like you said, Zach, something needs to happen between these three for Sam Fleety to get that a bit closer.
Yeah, talking of time, time is not on the side of the young Briton because he's only got 6.5 minutes left for something to happen. I think it's going to be 3 more laps. It might be very close and they might just scrape by for a fourth. Right on board with Nico Veldman versus Gergely Konchabo, the Hungarian, who's looking good for a win in the silvers. Maybe not quite consistent enough for the championship, but definitely ending the season on a high. 6 minutes left to go, and well, this is crunch time. We said after the pit stops, it's a sprint to the finish. Now they can see it, they can taste it, they can smell it, whatever, right? It's so close. And now I think the heart rate monitors are going to be skyrocketing in terms of that top 4 in the pros. And there goes Nico Veldman to the inside. Nicely done. Konchabo didn't really put up much of a fight.
No, he didn't, and yeah, I mean, it's inter-class battles, isn't it? You don't really need to fight it all too much because Konchabo, you know, he's got at least one more car and a blanket of time as well in between himself and the next closest member of the Silvers. So he can just sort of drive and enjoy the track actually, rather than having to, you know, deal with some cars under pressure like Sir Smokey is at the moment. I mean, of course Sir Smokey will want to win, but he doesn't need to. I think his target, his nemesis is right where he needs to be for Sir Smokey to come out on top this evening.
It is indeed, and Nico Veldman doing a pretty good job of hanging on and trying to recover. Nico Veldman, a very strong driver in all fairness, for the Dutchies. Another person that Dan Pepples is going to absolutely love. He's very quick as we jump back to the fight for the lead, and once again, deja vu, one more lap, and still once more, Maurice Stryker not quite close enough to launch an offensive maneuver, and all it is, Sam Fleet is waiting for it. This battle. It's almost like a very short fuse, and the battle is the spark, and bang, as soon as that happens, Sam Fleety could well and truly have a chance of getting himself back into championship contention. It's very much waiting to happen, and well, it very much could happen indeed, with only a handful of minutes left to go, only a handful laps left also through on the run towards Quarry Bend. And again, I don't think Stryker's really got the legs down the straight to mount an attack unless he goes for an audacious send, which I don't really think is going to happen. In all fairness, he's not quite close enough to go for it, which means that Sir Smokey, at least for now, has been able to hang on, and no one really has been able to challenge Guillaume Hamling at all. He's been, well, yes, only half a second clear of the rest behind him. No one's been too interested in going for the move.
I'll tell you what, he's been looking incredibly put together as Hamling in that Lamborghini. I must say, I don't think I've really seen him make too many mistakes, and that's what you need. Again, I've said this circuit rewards precision, and the drivers that can be as precise as possible are really going to come out on top here. And going back to this battle between Sir Smokey and Maurice Stryker at the moment, I think what Stryker needs is especially in towards turn 2, is a great exit from 1 to set him up on that move to the straight, because you saw how close he was to the back of that Mercedes ahead of him, and he's getting even closer as well. He's got a lot of confidence in that Honda. He's able to wrangle it around the circuit just that little bit more efficiently than Sir Smokey ahead in some places, and he just needs to find the areas where Smokey's perhaps lacking a little bit just to really take advantage.
For sure, he's been sat behind him long enough. He knows where his strengths and weaknesses lie, and it's about exploiting that to full effect. Where is the Honda stronger versus the Mercedes? Where is Stryker stronger versus Smokey? Where is any of them stronger relative to each other? And well, those are the small margins that you have to exploit, particularly when you come on to laps like these. I think we're now ticking on to the penultimate lap. 2.5 minutes left to go. It's around about a 2-minute lap. So yeah, 2 more left to go. This is not the final lap, ladies and gentlemen. We still get 2 more runs around the Mount Panorama Bathurst circuit. And well, the pressure is on for Guillaume Hamling to hold on to the lead. The pressure is on for Sam Fleety to hang on to a chance for the championship. And I think he's burnt out. I think he's run out of steam.
Yeah, I think so. I think that just sitting on the back of this has really drained him, and he may even be feeling the effects of just racing around such a circuit as this, and it could be all over. But you know, never say never, as you've already said, Zach. I mean, once these two guys start fighting, if they do indeed, I mean, I think we're not far from what would be the final lap soon. I think we might just get one more in, as Sir Smokey is having a little bit of a look through this twisty section there. I think a little bit of a mistake from Hamling and a quicker run from the Mercedes. He certainly smelt blood in the water at that point, and Striker is now doing the same, but it's the same result at the moment, just not finding a way through. And this is such a twisty and narrow part of the circuit, which has no real opportunities unless the driver ahead of you does a wildly wrong run through one part of it.
Indeed so, and well, these sort of things like that can very much catalyze a lot of different things, you know, like in chemistry, a lot of different reactions can happen from catalysts, and a lot of different battles can happen from things like that. All that it takes is the smallest of mistakes in the right moments. Unfortunately, that wasn't quite the right moment for a lot of those cars, and yeah, it happened at probably the worst time, but it does allow Sir Smokey to put some pressure on, because Hamling is still going to be breathing very, very quickly, trying to get his breath back, trying to get his composure back, and trying to get back into the swing of things as they approach the final lap of the race. Here comes Samuel Chumley to the outside, of course, of Eric Larson as they run their way through the Conrod straight in towards a bit of a kink, and there we go, Samuel Chumley up inside the top 6 now as he's under a bit of pressure from the Mercedes going back in towards the chase. But now the leaders tick off onto the final lap of this race, and well, understandably so, the BMW moves out of the way very nicely for them. One more lap of this championship, of this season. Whoa, pressure's on.
The question is, does Sir Smokey risk a move? I think in this stage, I don't think the risk is worth it. But if the opportunity presents itself, which it looks like it might do, he's getting closer and closer to the back. Hamling's going to go defensive. It's going to be the outside. We've seen this end in tears before. And sensibly, I think Smokey backed out of that. And Hamling shut the door and got back on the racing line. So no change of position at the front as well. Sam Fleety would have been hoping to God that Smokey made a ridiculous move into there and spun out. But it's just not going to happen, I think. That we don't live on what ifs, we live on the right now, and the right now is Sir Smokey is about to put that second hand on the championship trophy if all goes well in these remaining few corners.
Indeed, so about half a lap left to go for these guys. Guillaume Hamling, Sir Smokey, Maurice Striker, Sam Fleety just in a little bit behind. Desperation starts to creep in, and all it takes is the smallest of things for the biggest of consequences. And well, when the pressure is this high, Guillaume Hamling trying to hang on for a race win, Sir Smokey trying to hang on for a championship. Maurice Striker trying to get into the mix, trying to do his Dutch boys proud through the Forest Sailboat for the final time and down the Conrod straight once more. So Smokey under a bit of pressure from Maurice Striker, who's going to be looking very, very feisty, maybe to promote himself. He's practically pushing the Mercedes, pulls out, hits a brick wall of air though, inside line as they head their way in towards the kink. It eventually will be the outside for the chase, so he tucks back into situ and now running through the chase for the final time in towards the heavy braking zone. Maurice Striker close, not quite close enough, and through 2 more corners left to go. It might go the way of Sir Smokey, who's got literally 1 corner left to go. He can smell championship glory. He's looking for the race lead. He wants it. He's greedy. Maurice Striker to the inside. Brilliantly done. And now the final run to the line. It's a drag race. Guillaume Hamling takes victory for the final race, but it's going to be Sir Smokey for the pros who takes the championship win by a margin so insignificantly small. Sam Fleety just 1.8 seconds off championship glory, and here comes a few seconds later Gergely Konchabo, the Hungarian, who's put on such a spectacular showing for the entirety of the TSRC Season 3. He comes across the line to take victory for the Silvers. However, it's not going to be championship glory. That is going to go the way of Luca Raya. And well, we turn our attention from the Silver Championship all the way to the AMS, because Elias Troyer, only a couple more corners left to go for the Audi. He is on a run of form, and well, he ticks off yet another victory. He has been clear of Davide Massi. Came into this race with a 1-point clearance and took that in full swing. 1 more corner left to go. The run to the line. He takes the championship. He takes the victory here in Bathurst for the 63 Audi. What a season. What a championship. And here is your silver champion of Luca Raya. Honestly, I couldn't have asked for much better of a championship finale.
No, you really couldn't. We had all the action, and where was it? at the front, right where we like to see it in motorsport. And it's been an incredible battle all season long as well. You know, I may not have been at round 1 and 2, but I definitely was watching along in preparation for the rest of the season, and I've been so incredibly impressed with all of the racing here, and it's just been so exciting to get my teeth stuck into GT3 and see what these cars can do, see what these drivers can do, and watch the championships unfurl. And with circuits like this, you know, it's just an absolute spectacle. It's just, well, yeah, I'm a bit lost for words, and as a commentator, that's not incredibly good. But I think I've had a lot of fun here, and I think all the drivers have deserve a bit of a pat on the back as well. It's been a great season.
It has been indeed 6 weeks, 7 races, and it's Guillaume Hamling that takes the final one. 41.5 minutes of racing action, 20 laps around Bathurst. He takes victory. Maurice Stryker in second place. What a move that was on the final lap, by the way, from Maurice Stryker. He knew what was at stake. Sir Smoggy knew that as well. Didn't put up much of a fight. He takes third place in the final spot on the podium. Sam Fleety, though, if he just finished 1.8 seconds clear of Sir Smoggy, he would have taken the championship victory. He was so close. Dominic Aligna rounds off the top 5 and takes the fastest lap as well for good measure for the pro. Samuel Chumley just in behind there for 6th. Eric Larson, Nico Velman 7th and 8th. Gaglik Shinchabo, P9 overall, winner of the silver category in terms of this race. Martin Blankensteiner rounds off the top 10. Felix Cheff and Scott Vincent, your podium. Elias Stroyer, champion of the AMS, and victor here in Bathurst as well. Mark Peters, close but no cigar in terms of the silver championship for him in that 27 machine. Sampieri just in behind, James Wright behind that, and Luca Ryan, not the best race for him in terms of the silvers, but of course it's still the championship victory nonetheless. Slav Volodya, P18, Davide Massi, could have been. It could have been. He was ahead going into qualifying, and if he just finished ahead of Elias Troy, he would have taken the victory, but shoulda, coulda, woulda. Paula Rubini just in behind, top 20. Then comes Williams and Quantrell for P21 and 22. Jack Southwood, Oscar Soristo, and Steenbergen, those that didn't quite manage to make it to the checkered flag. And what a season, Kelsey. Seriously, I mean, again, I know as you said, you only joined us halfway through. You only joined us for Imola. But from what you saw, the 4 races that you did see, I have to say, though, that I can't really put any of them above any of them. They were all to such a high standard that, unfortunately, none of them stood out.
Yeah, I think I agree. It's like you say, it's all of these drivers have done such an incredible job all over the season, and you know I've commentated on 4 of them alongside you, Zach, and I saw the first 2 rounds as well, and even then I'd say the same thing, but both being a spectator and bringing the action to life alongside you. And I think this championship going into the next season, which I hope isn't too far away, because I really want to sink my teeth into this again. But I think it's just been absolutely incredible. We've had so many great battles, so many great drivers, so many great moments, and absolute drama as well. It's just I've really enjoyed my time here, Zach, and I think these guys, like I've said already, deserve a big pat on the back, big and yeah, especially after this track as well. It's been I think they'll go get themselves a cup of tea or have a bit of a lie down after that, I think.
I reckon so. 100% they do deserve it. And well, for Kelsey Gill, I mean, it's been your first sort of step into the unknown when it comes to commentary. I mean, you started off on F1 and things like that, but now you've taken the dive. You're here now with us at JP Broadcasting, and you're here now on some GT3 racing. I mean, today you took to a track that you hadn't really seen before today. I mean, obviously a couple of inklings here and there. How have you been enjoying your time in the commentary booth? It's a little bit different, isn't it?
Very different. I think I'm used to. I think what I am used to is, I'm tracks I'm incredibly familiar with, and it's just such a shock to the system. But yet I find myself just wanting to know more and more and more as I go on. Like I'm really enjoying it, and I can't wait to see more of this. I mean. TSRC admins, like, hurry up and get this 4th season scheduled. Give us more. We want to see it. I want to see more action in the pros, the AMs, the pro-AMs. I want to see it all. I want to see more circuits. Yeah, let's do it. I'm ready. I'm excited. I want to do this. Let's go.
I righted it the other day. I was like, Why are they only 6 rounds long? Give us more for a season. I want more for a season. But yeah, the TSRC, it's nothing short of brilliant. And speaking actually of season 4, we had a question a little bit earlier on in the YouTube chat from Chazmeister, who thank you, of course, for being a loyal viewer throughout the entirety of the season. We thank everyone who's been joining us in the YouTube chat. But he said, what would be the ideal 6-race calendar for us in season 4? I mean, well, I'll go to you first. Give me more time to think about it. 6 races and a sprint round in there as well. What are we thinking?
I'm not too sure. I don't really know all that too many circuits. Chazmeister has said himself in the chat that for his Sim Racing Collective Season 4 GT3, he would have Donington, Spa, Kyalami, Suzuka, Laguna Seca and Bathurst. And I think after watching Bathurst today, I definitely want to maybe see that again in there. Spa could be an interesting one, especially for a sprint race as well. I think that might be quite an interesting race to go around, and Kyalami is quite the circuit as well, so I think maybe those 3 on there. But I'm hard to put in. I've made a few season calendars in my time, and what I like to do is I like to have a bit of variation but a bit of familiarity in there as well. And I think if I knew a few more circuits that are a bit more outside and a bit more sort of throwing up in that terms of drama and different elements as well, then I would certainly have a bit more of a better insight. But I'll throw over to you, Zach, for your insights into what this calendar could look like.
I hope you went on for a little bit longer, to be fair. I'm still thinking. I mean, for round 1, I want to go to Silverstone for round 1. I think Silverstone's a good way to kick off a season. And then round 2, I reckon spice it up a little bit, go for something more tight and twisty, maybe Zolder in Belgium. I think that would be a good mix. And the halfway point of the season has got to be something good, maybe Spa. Just something to spice up in the mix, maybe have that as the sprint round. Then we go to round 4, and I'm thinking, well, we've been to Britain, we've been to Belgium twice, of course, so maybe let's go for something more American, maybe Watkins Glen, maybe Cota in the mix for round number 4. Then, of course, we go to the penultimate round, and I'm thinking, oh, what's a good penultimate round? Laguna Seca, maybe Donington in the mix as well, or do we go maybe for something more Italian, Monza, Imola? Either way, I think Monza would be a good shout for these guys. So far, Silverstone, Zolder, Spa, Monza. We're up to now what? That's 4 rounds now, right? Yeah. Silverstone, Spa, Zolder, Monza. 2 more left to go. Penultimate round for round number 5. I reckon, I don't know. Kyalami, I think, is a good shout. Definitely a good shout. And then the finale. We've had Bathurst. We've had Suzuka for season finales. We've had Spa as well. You know what? I'm going to go for... I'm just trying to think as to what circuits are actually on... ACC. I think the Nürburgring GP layout would be a good shout for a season finale, potentially. But anyway, yeah, I mean, I think that is definitely a good shout. And, well, looking forward to season 4. Definitely do tune in terms of the TSRC. But also for the TSRC, the Porsche Cup starts very, very soon. It'll be James Parfitt, Kelsey Gill, and Dan Peoples talking you through the entirety of the season. 6 rounds in length, of course. So do not miss that out at all. If you are new to the JP Broadcasting YouTube channel, make sure to like the video if you have enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel and turn the bell on for notifications to not miss a thing. We have got everything when it comes to sim racing: open wheels, GTs, radicals, you name it, we've got it. Touring cars in the mix as well. But for today, it was the GT3s, the TSRC PC GT3 Series, the finale of season number 3 here in Bathurst, Australia. My name has been Zach Sweeney. I've had Kelsey Gill alongside me. Kieran Sharp has been trying to push all the buttons and frantically keep up with all the sensational action. We crowned 3 very deserved champions, and well, we can't wait to see what the future holds. But in the meantime, take care of yourselves, and a very warm bye-bye.